It looks like stream is up. Get it ready to start. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Vera. Let's go ahead and start. Welcome everybody to the TEA Budget and Finance Committee meeting. Good morning. I want to call the meeting to order. First item on our agenda here is to approve the minutes of the previous meeting back on April 13th. So can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved, Dave Rest.
Thanks, Dave. Can I get a second?
Second,
Curtis.
Eddie.
Okay.
Thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Let's go on now to the discussion agenda. The first item is to receive information on distribution of state appropriations, and I will turn the meeting over to Vice President Frisbee.
Good morning, everyone. The first issue paper here before you is to receive information on the wrap up from the legislative session. The legislature adjourned at the end of April, sine die, so they will not be back. We are waiting for governor's signature on Senate Bill 25. So if something for some reason should be rejected in that bill, have no reason to think it will be, but we never know for sure. We will, of course, have to amend our material, but many of the items before you were actually enacted in House Bill 2184, the mega appropriations bill. But some of the items in the issue papers in 25 and in 2184 relate together. So the two bills act in tandem to some degree. In the first issue paper, the items are before you as informational items because the way the appropriation was handled in the appropriation bill, there is no discretion on how we administer the funds and how we allocate the funds to the colleges. So, for example, for tiered technical education state aid, the bill specified an amount to be provided to each individual college for tiered and non-tiered. The amounts in the tables do reflect the gap report that we talked about earlier this calendar year, back in the winter, with some adjustments. You might recall that you made a decision to hold instructor rates for Tier 6 courses in 22 as the 21 rate, and so that is embedded in here as well, these amounts. There is also a 5% inflationary factor provided on the top for each individual amount. We did not have sufficient appropriation to cover adding the 5% inflationary adjustment, so the amounts here reflect a proration to get everybody to fit within the amount that we have available. So you can see when you compare 24 funding to 2023, you can see where, according to enrollments, that some schools are gaining and some schools will receive less funding. The other piece I'll mention on tiered and non-tiered is that we are in year 2 of a 3-year migration to fully recentering the usage of the cost model. So that is reflected in these amounts, of course. The legislature also then, farther down in the issue paper, did provide $6.5 million in funding for cybersecurity. Cybersecurity at our institutions of higher ed is an enormous concern in every sector, and the legislature provided $6.5 million, specifying that every individual college get $250,000. And so that is what we will provide for fiscal year 2024. And then farther down in the tables, we have apprenticeships. House Bill 2184 appropriated $14.3 million for the 2-year schools and specified that it would be used for development of registered apprenticeships, business and industry outreach, and development of programming to meet the emerging needs of Kansas businesses. And the bill specified that amounts will be distributed based on AY 2022 FTE students. And so those are the amounts before you there in that table under the apprenticeships. And then lastly, there is a $5 million appropriation for the 10 community colleges that are not eligible, according to state law, for career and tech ed capital outlay. So these are the colleges that have never merged or affiliated with a technical college. And according to the distribution rules in Senate Bill 25, using AY 2022 FTE students at those colleges, then allocates the $5 million as you see it there in the table. So I'd be happy to answer questions on these informational items.
Any questions? Okay. Looks like you have no questions on that one,
All right.
Vice President Frisbee. Let's move
Thank
on
you.
to act on distribution and state appropriations.
Yes, so there are a few items that will require the Technical Education Authority's approval. We will be before you at the end of the month for you to act on these. The first one is the traditional CTE capital outlay aid distribution. So a portion of that funding comes to us from the State General Fund, but another segment of it comes from the Economic Development Initiatives Fund, which is the state's lottery proceeds. And the first table there you see here at the top of the next page has the combination of the $7.4 million. And this is the same amount that was received last year. We did the calculations according to the two different segments of the funding, part of which is based on an equal distribution among the colleges, and then the other part is based on the traditional format that we've done, which gives everybody sort of an equal base, and then we do the rest according to student enrollments in technical programs. And so we have the calculations there at the top of that table, and we will be seeking your endorsement of those amounts later this month. The next item then is technology grant. This is a much smaller amount, just under $400,000. We have had this same appropriation for a number of years. It does also go, it goes to community colleges as well as Washburn University. And this is to purchase technology equipment. So if you need to upgrade classroom technology, for example, the same amount was provided, has been provided year over year, and we are recommending the same amounts be allocated to the colleges that are eligible for the grant there on the top of that page, as you see. And then lastly, the newest item there, Senate Bill 25, again, which is on the governor's desk, appropriates $10.5 million to the Board of Regents for the technical colleges for operating grants. And when we provided you the information, we weren't sure what the technical colleges were going to propose. I think about 10 minutes after we sent you the issue paper, we received communication from the technical colleges. Their proposal is that the TEA and the Board of Regents allocate the funds equally among the 7 colleges, $1.5 million each. And they do ask for that to be done this summer, which we would do according when the accounting system opens up for us in July. So on these 3 items, happy to take questions.
Not hearing any questions. It looks like it's just a continuation pretty much from 2023 with exception of Senate Bill 25, which hasn't been signed yet. So not a lot of change going on at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So do we need to vote these out of committee? I mean, doesn't seem to have any real change or anything that we need to talk about, except for getting it passed through the board. Scott,
I would
anything on
defer
that?
to Vice President Smathers on his preference as to if the committee needs to take action on these items, or if you want to propose whether any of these be on consent or they need to be on the discussion agenda.
Normally what has occurred, this is Vice President Smathers, I'm sorry. Normally what's occurred is the committee has put forth, voted on it as a recommendation, but still moved it to discussion for the full board or the full TEA to see. But the committee has moved forward historically, the committee has recommended moving forward with these numbers. So it's gone into discussion with the committee's recommendation to approve.
Okay, let's do that then. Let's see. Do we have a motion to approve these these numbers from Vice President Frisbee and move them to discussion on the full TEA?
I would make that motion. Dave Rice.
Thanks, Dave. Can we have a second?
This is Ray, second.
Eddie.
Thanks, Ray. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Okay, well, that motion carries. Let's move these over to the full TEA then for discussion. All right, let's move on. Extraordinary cost review, Associate Director Chambers.
Thank you, Chair Humphrey. Before you is an update to extraordinary cost rates for the airframe mechanics and aircraft power plant programs. These two programs are unique in our system as the FAA has established curriculum standards to which the programs must conform. And among many other things, those standards directly impact the program credit hours. Recent changes in FAA requirements have resulted in a significant reduction of over 15% in program credit hours, and these changes are effective for academic year 2024. As they prepared for those credit hour changes, WSU Tech reviewed their programs, and during that review, they discovered extraordinary costs not previously included in the review of these programs, so they contacted KBOR staff with a request to review. Based on the exceptional circumstances impacting the credit hours for these programs going forward, consideration was given to that request, and based upon the cost provided, the updated calculation is included in your chart there in the issue paper. And the recommendation before the committee today is to update both programs to the $127 extraordinary cost rate per credit hour for academic year 2024. And I would stand for questions.
Any questions? Well, I deal with a lot of this in my business, so it's really important for us to get airframe and power plant mechanics in our sector of the industry, as well as in other areas, manufacturing sections, and also the civil aviation aspect over here in Wichita and other places around the state. So it's a good move, I think. So that's just my opinion. So if we can, let's take a vote on to approve this recommendation and carry it forward. Can we have a motion to approve?
Curtis moves.
Thanks, Curtis. We have a second.
Dave, second.
This is Mike. I'll second it and suggest this be on the consent agenda.
Anybody opposed to that? Okay, so we have a motion and a second, and we also want to move this on the consent agenda for the full board. So all those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. Well, that motion carries then, and we'll add that to the consent agenda for the next TEA meeting. Okay, moving on. Any other matters before the committee? I take that as a no. So I will move to adjourn the meeting, and the next meeting reminder is on Thursday, August 17th. And thank you very much for attending, everybody, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.